Here's some science fiction slash fantasy recommendations for teenagers. Whether you're a teenager, you're watching this and you want some stuff that's geared to you, or you want to get into reading, or you know a teenager who fits both of those descriptions or one of those descriptions, I have some bangers for you. Now keep in mind, some of these I haven't read in 10 plus years, so you're gonna have to make do with some bare minimum information or poor descriptions, but some of them I haven't. So yeah, first, Steelheart by Brandon Sanderson. This is basically The Boys, you know, the TV show on Amazon Prime. And this is The Boys before The Boys. Actually, I don't know what came out first, this or the comic, but when I say The Boys, you kind of get what I'm trying to say. Our main character is like a 16, 17-year-old powerless individual. The superheroes have kind of taken over the world, and they're a lot more in your face and evil. They're not really like trying to hide their evilness from the public as much as they do in The Boys. They're a lot more open about it from what I remember. The main bad guy in this series is Steelheart. He is basically the Homelander of this universe. I want to say this takes place in Chicago, a Chicago that is no longer Chicago. It is a revenge story. Our main character, I think his name is David. Steelheart did a lot of bad shit to his family, and now he wants revenge. So he stumbles upon a group of freedom fighters. Together, they try to take down the superheroes. I actually think it's relatively grimdark for a YA. From what I remember, a lot of action, a lot of drama. This probably appeals to young boys more, but obviously anybody can like these. Definitely give this one a try. It's really fire. I actually am thinking about rereading it myself and seeing, because I have the second book back there that I actually picked up, but I never read. So maybe I should finish this series. The next book I have, also probably geared a little bit towards the dudes, is the Chronicles of Nick series. I was like so into this when I was younger. The main character is a 14, 15-year-old man, year-old dude, year-old boy. He's really poor. He lives with a single mother in a really small apartment. His room is basically blocked off by a curtain in the living room. His mother's really poor. His dad's in prison. One day, he finds out that his dad might not be all he seems. He might actually be the devil, one of the biggest, baddest demons in the world. And there is a prophecy that one day, Nick here will turn into the big bad himself. So all these monster hunters, magicians, or whatever, they can either help him on his various missions to do good, or they can try and kill him to stop what he will one day probably become. I remember that there's a character, he's like a monster hunter, like just a regular human, although I don't even know if he knows monsters are actually real or not, but his name's Bubba. He's like this big old redneck. He's my favorite character. He's so funny. Action-packed, drama, romance, everything. A young dude would absolutely love this. This book really has a lot of underdog vibes, you know, that sort of poor kid that gets bullied and beat up and everybody thinks he's a total loser, gains some abilities, and then becomes kind of like a Giga Chad. And he's Cajun, I think. If that sounds interesting to you, definitely pick it up, or definitely pick it up for somebody else that you think might like it. It is like kind of old, like 2008 or something like that. So like the language and terminology and slang's like a little dated, but you know, it's not a big deal. I don't remember if I said, but this is Infinity, book 1 in the Chronicles of Nick series, written by Sherilyn Kenyon. The next book I have here is Scythe, which is book 1 in Arc of the Scythe by Neil Shusterman. This is a series that I think that is geared towards all genders. This series takes place hundreds and hundreds of years in the future, in our future, maybe even 1,000 or something. I don't really remember. In this world, humanity has learned to live for a very, 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 very long time, and technology has advanced so much that the world is governed by this huge AI called the Thunderhead, and the Thunderhead controls every aspect of your life. People don't have to work, but they can work. The Thunderhead lets them do jobs because he knows it fulfills them. Having a purpose will fulfill some people. People basically don't die. It's completely unheard of, except due to the overpopulation problem. A new profession has emerged, and these people are called scythes. And what they do is their entire job is to kill people, to supposedly reduce the overpopulation. And so they essentially can kill whoever they want. Granted, there is a lengthy process involved in trying to randomize your targets to be fair to everybody else, you know, and then you do your best to kill them in a very humane way. At least most scythes do. And so this follows 2 scythe apprentices, even though a scythe can only have 1 apprentice, as they deal with global politics and compete with each other to become a scythe. Will they work together in spite of this? Will they resent each other? I don't know. Maybe you should find out. Definitely check this out if you think this sounds interesting. The next book we have here, I think, is the most recent, or maybe the second most recent of the books here. It's called Legendborn by Tracy Dion. I'm pretty sure book 3 just came out. I'm not sure if this is a trilogy and it's completed, or it's a quartet and it's not completed. I've only read the first one though. This series is about a 16-year-old named Bree who recently lost her mom in an accident. To kind of escape the suffocation of being around where her mom used to be every single day. She goes off to this early college program at North Carolina State University, I think. And while she's there on her first day, she witnesses some sort of magic events happening. And she's like, what the frick is going on? So she investigates more and finds out that there's a whole secret society that has been around since the days of King Arthur. Eventually, she and her friends learn that a magic war is coming. And so she has to decide whether to stick and fight with these people or whether to trust them at all, or to go on her own, ignore everything else, and just maybe something with these people has a little something to do with how her mom died. If your mom has died like my mom has died, I think this will definitely help you with your grief a little bit. So I think that's one good reason. But if your mom has not died, it's still an amazing read. There's a lot of good exposure to themes of like racism in this book, and I think it's very interesting reading that from her perspective, you know, a book that takes place in such modern times and how that sort of thing is still around, even though it looks very different from the ways it did, you know, even 20 years ago. The action is cool. The magic, I think, gets cooler halfway into the book. You learn a different perspective, a new side of it, and I really like that a lot. The characters are fun. You'll have a good time. Just trust me. And I think this is targeted to just generally everybody. Next, we have The Cruel Prince. This is probably geared a little bit more towards the ladies, the girls. I did read it though, and I did enjoy it. So I think guys can obviously enjoy this too. It is very YA, very young adult, very teen. So yeah, I mean, if you like that, go for it. I'm probably going to keep reading. I'm not like too big into YA, but I did enjoy this. And I have a friend who has the rest of the series, so I'm going to borrow them from her and then binge the rest of it. This series follows one of two twins. When the twins were 7, their parents were murdered and they were stolen away and taken to a land of fairies, a land of fae. This is my only experience with fae. Years later, our main character, Jude, she wants to really just belong to this realm, but everybody who lives there basically hates humans. In order to find her place at this fairy court, Jude really has to go against the stigma of human hate, against the wishes of people who have a lot of power in this realm, and face the consequences, both politically and physically. Our main character is super badass. If you like strong women, definitely check this out. I thought this would be more romance heavy than it was, and there is some in it, at least in book 1, but I was pleasantly surprised by how much plot and character work there is in this book. I enjoyed my time. If you guys like political intrigue and mystery and hidden secrets and stuff like that, you'll definitely like this. Check it out. I know, before anybody says anything, me recommending Cruel Prince is like me recommending Grass to people who like Grass. The next book we have here is Sky's End. It's book 1 in the series called Above the Black, I think. This is a revenge series about a boy, a young man, 16-year-old, who refuses to become the heir to his uncle that he just absolutely hates, mostly because he's a murdering scumbag and he's holding his sister, not a hostage, I guess, but he's taken care of her, basically holding her hostage after his mother is killed in an attack by these giant gorgotans, I think. These giant floating flying dragon snake monster things. He makes a deal to join basically the Survey Corps in Attack on Titan, but for killing these things, and they do it in these giant freaking flying ships. And the first book follows him and a bunch of other cadets as they try to prove themselves a capable crew in taking down these monsters so they can be fully enlisted. There's a lot of action, a lot of drama and political intrigue. I think Gregson kind of goes crazy. If you're a young boy, you will probably be super into this. Definitely give it a try. Something about a revenge story really just hits for young boys, you know what I mean? And then finally, we have Mistborn by Brandon Sanderson, another Brandon Sanderson book. I would say that Mistborn is pretty YA, but then the following 2 books in the trilogy aren't as much, but I don't think it's that big of a deal what they're defined as. It follows a young girl named Vin. Vin is a slave, a peasant, a part of the peasant race called the Ska, compared to the nobles, which are the dominant race. The Ska basically do all the shitty work that nobody else wants to do, all the manual labor. Vin has always had these sort of powers that she's never understood, and one day she uses them against what's known as a Steel Inquisitor, basically a head enforcer. They've got like spikes that go through their eyes and come out the back of their head, and they are sensitive to these kinds of abilities. Ska are not supposed to have them. These abilities are only available to the nobles, so the Steel Inquisitor tries to kill her. Vin is saved by her mentor Kelsier, who also has these abilities, and she joins his ragtag crew as they decide to try and overthrow the Lord Ruler, which is the emperor of this empire, and make a better place for the Ska and take down the nobles. Absolutely a legendary book. If you like action, heavy action, really interesting magic systems, and a really fun cast, you are totally gonna be down for this and binge this entire series. If I had to recommend any one of these series for any of you guys, it would probably be Mistborn. That'd be my #1 go-to rec. Thank you so much for watching. I appreciate it. If you enjoyed this video, hit that like button, subscribe, check out my wishlist, check out my sponsor, and hit all my socials down below. And I'll see you next time.